Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope that you're having an awesome day. Today, let's talk about 10 different very sweet fragrances that women seem to find addictive. But not just women, really pretty much everybody. These are those people pleasers, and I've said this a bunch of times, but it really does seem to be that the fragrances that get you compliments the most are either fresh fragrances, sweet fragrances, or fresh and sweet fragrances. Something about that sweetness, people just love it, man. Whether you're talking about their drinks, or what they're eating, or what they're smelling. Or smelling like. So let's jump into it. Let's check out these 10 sweet fragrances that just crush it as far as pulling positive attention. And you know what time it is. It's code time. Gents 10. That's the code. 10% off twistedlily.com or maxaroma.com. Gents 10. Don't pay full price for your niche fragrances. And luckyscent.com, the code is 10GENTS. Same thing, 10% off. But I think Lucky Scent, they want to change the code every month, so time's ticking on that one. You know, let's start with this one. It's Azzaro's Wanted by Night. Now, you may say to yourself, hey, the Most Wanted Parfum or the Most Wanted, that would be better from the Wanted line because those ones are more gourmandy. Those ones are more sweet. And you're right. But I haven't talked about Wanted by Night for a while, and I love Wanted by Night, so that's one I'm going to talk about. Wanted by Night, though, I do find a little bit more interesting, a little bit more unique. It still has great performance, so you're not really missing out on anything here, other than it's not quite as gourmandy, and it is a bit spicier. This is expertly done, in my opinion, one of the best inexpensive fragrances or inexpensive leaning fragrances from discounters that you're ever going to find. This stuff is absolutely killer. Love Wanted by Night, and lots of people out there do. So let's say you're wanting that the Most Wanted feel, you know, you want something a little bit similar to that. You can go Stronger With You, absolutely, because the Most Wanted smells a little bit like the Stronger With You line. Stronger With You, absolutely my favorite from the line. This one I think is just the most well-rounded while still having that original fragrance's DNA to it. So it still has that sort of, you know, toffee, gourmandy, sweet side. But instead here it's drenched with a little bit of booze, giving it an extra edge. And then the performance, while being very, very good, is not aggressive. It's not too in your face, as long as you don't go crazy heavy with the trigger. Everybody can easily smell you, and it lasts a very long time. It's just easier to pull off, in my opinion. So Stronger With You, absolutely my favorite. And actually not that long ago, I did a 10 best designer fragrances ever for fall list, where I asked you guys to vote, and this one was one of the biggest vote getters by far. So a lot of you out there wearing this one too. Let's get something niche here. Mancera Instant Crush. Now, Instant Crush is really well known as being Mancera's take on Baccarat Rouge 540 by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, one of the most popular niche fragrances that has ever been released. And looking at this bottle, if you didn't know that this was a BR 540 similar style fragrance, you wouldn't really be able to tell by the name and the look because there's no red. Yeah, a lot of companies, when they come out with the Baccarat Rouge 540 style fragrance, they just can't help themselves. They have to put it in a red bottle, or they have to name the fragrance something red or whatever, but not Mancera. Nah, they make it gold and they call it Instant Crush. Now this one is unisex. Ladies can pull this off just as easily as men, but it is fantastic at pulling positive attention, and it does have that addictive nature to it where when you spray it on, you just want to smell it again and again and again and again. It becomes a problem. You don't want to be that weird dude just smelling himself over and over and over again in public, but sometimes it's hard to resist the urge. Be out at the mall or out shopping or in a restaurant or something, you're trying to, you know, check your fragrance. It's not a good look. Just maybe eating some spaghetti or something and you sneak one of these. Yeah, not good. Or do one of these deals. Yeah, addictive. That's a problem. So Instant Crush, similar to Baccarat Rouge 540. It has the saffron in there. It has the amber woodiness, but it has a good amount of vanilla as well. That's going to be one of the main things that sets that apart from Baccarat Rouge 540 is a heaping dose of vanilla. Speaking of vanilla and speaking of gold bottles, how about 1 Million Elixir from Paco Rabanne? Now 1 Million Parfum, which is obviously a different fragrance than this one, it's not really my style. It's more that solar kind of sunscreeny type of scent with a leathery feel as well. Not a massive fan. And yet that one, it excels it excels at getting compliments, much to my chagrin. One of those deals where, you know, I've been wearing it before because I was going to feature it or review it, and then I wanted to get people's opinions, and then everybody is like, oh yeah, it smells amazing. And then I'm just sitting there like, yeah, awesome, cool, thanks. Thanks for your opinion on that. 1 Million Elixir, a little bit similar. I didn't necessarily love this one, though I think, you know, I've come around more to Elixir than I did Parfum. A lot of vanilla in here, very, very sweet. Also has rose, a bit of apple as well. And to an extent, it also has a little bit of a similarity to the Stronger With You line, just in how it does come across. Now, I would say personally that I find Azzaro the most wanted parfum to have a little more in common with the Stronger With You line than I do 1 Million Elixir, but certainly that inspiration that Stronger With You has given, you can find that in 1 Million Elixir, along with the friggin' compliment factor. You can find that there too. It means it's good. Now throwing it back ever so slightly to Versace Eros Eau de Toilette, one of the best-selling fragrances on the market, Versace's most popular fragrance, definitely their most popular fragrance line right now. I mean, essentially, for men anyway, it seems like Eros is about their only fragrance line that they seem to be paying any attention to. Like, hey, can we get a new line or maybe a new flanker of this over here or that over there? And Versace, they pretend they're taking notes, and then they're like, yeah, so we got a new Eros. That's coming out. That's good, right? I like Eros though. I like it. So I'm just busting on it, but at the same time, it's kind of true. So this one quite sweet with lavender, vanilla, and apple. And I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again in case you missed the last million times I said it. Eros does have way more versatility and flexibility than people might give it credit for. This is a great office fragrance, in my opinion, as long as you don't go heavy with the trigger. It worked amazingly for me. And the performance there, quite good as well. I mean, everybody knows Eros. Next up, a fragrance I reviewed very recently on my Extra Gents Scents channel. In case you're unaware of it, that's the name, just Extra Gents Scents. I do more reviews on that channel, occasional lists and screwing around, but a lot more reviews of both niche, indie, and designer fragrances. So feel free to check it out whenever this video is over or whenever you want, just Extra Gents Scents. The fragrance is Spice Bomb Infrared. Yeah, love that. Spice Bomb Infrared is, in my opinion, quite a bit sweeter than the original Spice Bomb and also Spice Bomb Extreme. So that means it's also going to come across a little bit more modern than those two fragrances. Not that Spice Bomb or Spice Bomb Extreme smell dated necessarily. I don't think that they do, but you can take a look at most of the fragrances coming out nowadays for men. Most of them are quite sweet. And so this fits along with that kind of style a little bit better than the original Spice Bomb or Extreme do. That said, I still love both of those fragrances. So this one leans heavily into the red, the infrared. You have pepper notes in here, pink pepper and pimento pepper. You've got red fruits like apple and I believe grapefruit. Also has kind of a berry smell to it as well. Has tobacco, cinnamon, saffron. So just basically anything that they could think of that is red or red-ish, they were like, yeah, put that in there. So yeah, infrared, the name makes sense when you look at that note breakdown. And it smells really nice. It's very sweet initially, and that stays basically the whole way through. It is a little bit more youthful than the original Spice Bomb or Spice Bomb Extreme. The performance is very good. You get good bang for your buck, which is nice because it ain't cheap. So at least you don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to worry about it being, you know, off your skin in 30 minutes or anything like that. You get what you pay for. Let's go back to a niche one. Parfums de Marly, Leighton. Yeah, Leighton. Just because it's obvious doesn't mean it ain't true. Now, this isn't as sweet as some of the other fragrances that I've talked about. Some of the other fragrances are like sweet on top of sweet on top of sweet. This one is quite warm and spicy to go along with that sweetness. So it's maybe a little bit more balanced, you could say, than some of these other fragrances. And of course, just about everybody has smelled this at some point or owns it or wants to own it. And there are other alternatives to this in case you don't want to pony up the big bucks to get Parfums de Marly Leighton. You could go with Lalique White and Black, which is a very nice alternative to this, very good quality, or Haramain Detour Noir, which is even cheaper and is quite similar to this. Leighton, though, that's one of my staples, even though it's very popular as far as niche fragrances go. I think what it does so well. I'll always have a bottle of that stuff. And since we're talking warm, spicy, sexy, sweet kind of fragrances, the Wyoto Parfum we'll talk about next. This is a masterpiece, 10 out of 10 fragrance. Now, whereas most everything we've talked about has very good performance, this one has more average performance. But for this type of scent, I think it's fine. Longevity is not too bad. Projection is okay. But for date night situations, a lot of times you don't want something too loud. You don't want something that's going to cause your date to start suffocating and choking because you just had to be the cologne guy and spray yourself with 35 sprays of whatever because you had to be noticed. Something like this can come in really handy in situations like that where you want it to just be subtle and sexy and alluring. So the Wyoto Parfum, this one is not sweet on top of sweet like Layton. It's more nuanced. It has sweetness, a good amount, but also warmth and spice and tobacco and other things going on. Now a little more tropical type sweetness, Beau from Jean Paul Gaultier. So this is going to be a fresher type fragrance, but it still is quite sweet. Out of everything here though, outside of maybe Eros and the next one I'm going to talk about, I think this would be the best for spring and summer out of everything. Now this one had to grow on me a little bit. When I very first smelled this one, I was a little iffy. A lot of times those fragrances that have coconut notes or coconut accords or coconut anything, they end up coming across a little beachy, feminine, sometimes sunscreen smelling, a few different ways it can come across, but I'm not really fans of most of those ways that coconut can come across. So initially on this one, I was a little iffy, but given more time, given more wears and getting a good amount of positive feedback while wearing the fragrance, I came around to liking it a lot more than I initially did. Sometimes, man, just wearing a fragrance and getting compliment after compliment, even if you were initially a little bit iffy on it, will make you change your tune and go, I guess it's not so bad. Yeah. And that kind of happened with Beau. Really great for pulling compliments, very versatile for warm weather, and a definite good change of pace compared to most other blue fragrances out there. And when we're talking blue fragrances, gotta talk this one, Wyoto Parfum, the last in the list. Now, Wyoto Parfum is quite sweet. It packs a decent punch. I think the versatility here is fantastic. It's got apple, it has a little bit of citrus in there. It has sage, of course, amberwood as the fragrance dries down. Now, a good amount of people out there would say that this one is too sweet, a little too heavy, too dense for spring or summer. Most specifically summer, but some people would say spring as well. And I don't entirely agree with that. I understand where people are coming from. If you spray this on in summer, like you would spray it on in winter, then yeah, it's gonna be too heavy. It's gonna be a little too much. But if it's very hot outside and very humid and you're gonna be around a lot of people, just don't spray it on as much. I mean, that's very simple, but it's also true. If you know how the fragrance works off your skin, you know how it projects, and you know that this can get very overwhelming to people, yourself included. If you spray it on too heavily and it's too hot where you're going and all these other things, just wear less. So I do think it's a great year-round fragrance, but that is with the caveat that you have to understand where you're going, what you're doing, how the fragrance works off your skin, and how many sprays to do. That sounds maybe a little more complicated than it is. It really isn't. Once you get a feel for the fragrance, you'll know. Although, to be fair, I would say that Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette is more versatile than Wyoto Parfum, and frankly, Sauvage Eau de Toilette as well, because this one does have more sweetness than those do. But Wyoto Parfum, hands down, one of the best attention-grabbing sweet fragrances in the designer realm on the market today, period. And 10 fragrances that, in my experience, have gotten amazing feedback over the years. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me till the end here. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.